Welcome, family. Welcome. Check on in. Let us know where you're hailing from. We're so glad to have everybody today. We have an amazing show today, so please come in and do a glass of water or a drink, your notepad, and pen, because we're going to talk about a lot of things today. Come on in, family. Welcome.
Ancient scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day.
We'll get started in just a few minutes, family.
Through her channel, knowledge flows, breaking chains that hold us close, teaching paths to abundance and wealth, guiding others to free themselves. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. From currencies to investments divine, she's helping her tribe to realign.
Rich Rising, family. I see so many of you coming in the room from all over the world. Hit the like button as you enter the room, family. We're going to have an amazing show today. Rich Rising, Grand Rising. Sister Sheila's in the house. Sister Amelia's in the house. I see you. Check in.
Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day.
All right, Soul Tribe, welcome. Hit the like button as you join today, family. We have an amazing show today. We have a special guest. 1 minute. He's trying to call me, just a minute. So hold on, please. Hold on 1 minute. Into the room, family. Come on. Enter his presence with thanksgiving. Yes. Come on in, family. Remember when we used to say, enter into his courts with praise, enter into his gates with thanksgiving? Well, come on in the room, family. Enter in with thanksgiving, gratitude, and accolades to the ancestors and the creator that we're here to see a new, amazing day. Congratulations, you made it, Soul Tribe. Come on in. Someone says, always enlivening when you come, when you appear. Dr. Pruitt, thank you. Check in, family. It's always my great pleasure to be here. Superior Rising. All right, we have over 100 people in the chat. Hit the like button, please. Come on in. We are here. It's going to be, again, an amazing show, family. I'll play the music for you just a little bit in the background as you prepare to come into the room. So what's going on, family? Well, welcome. I see you all. I hope you've had an amazing week and a good 4th of July. A lot is going on in the family and in the geopolitical landscape, or on the geopolitical landscape. So, family, we've heard a lot happening in the news. We knew that there was some type of memorandus of understanding between Iran and America at some point, and we thought the Strait of Hormuz would be open. That was the announcement. Well, recently, the conflict between Iran and America has escalated. As we reported the other day, Israel sent a report to President Trump stating that Iran allegedly wanted to, or had plotted to, take him out. And we know that they've been wanting President Trump for a long time, because he did get rid of their leader and some of the family members of the leader in Iran some time ago. So whenever those things happen where you take out somebody in the family is going to retaliate. But what this has done is it has caused the White House to secure the parameters of the White House, to do some new construction there to make sure everybody is safe and safeguarded. And in the meantime, we noted that whales, or financiers, wealthy billionaires, millionaires, hedge funds, family offices, and private investors have started to move large tranches of money. And whenever you see billionaires and financiers and bankers, CEOs move large amounts of money, you know something is going on behind the scenes that they're not talking about. It's not just the war. It's not just the escalation of the plot to take out President Trump, but something else is going on behind the scenes. We weren't sure what it was, but what I did for the Soul Tribe was I contacted an economist. Who else to ask what's going on but an economist? So today what I did was I decided to bring on an economist. He's an economist. He's a financier, an investor, an entrepreneur. He's a salesperson. Well, he used to do some sales. He's a world traveler. He's met with many leaders and prelates and ministers and prime ministers and chiefs of different African tribes. This gentleman is a very astute man when it comes to geopolitical news and global financial information. So before I bring him on today, let me introduce him, because some of you have not been following me for a while. Some of you are new. Some of you have been here for some time. So let me introduce to you the economist of the Soul Tribe. Dexter Lattimore is an economist and entrepreneur. He received a dual bachelor's degree in economics and Pan-African studies, as he decided he wanted to expand his information and knowledge that he learned here in America abroad. He also has a minor in international business, and he's a world traveler. He worked with prelates, including kings and queens in Africa, and prime ministers and mayors in all parts of the world. And in fact, he is a godson of Malcolm X's eldest daughter. Dexter Lattimore has traveled to 3 continents and to countries such as Senegal, Ghana, Costa Rica, Brazil, Trinidad, and others. He is mentored by Malcolm X's eldest daughter, Ambassador Atala Shabazz. He has done humanitarian work and worked all around the globe. He's also a consummate musician. He is a professional musician, having worked with top recording artists, including Mali Music and Dorinda Clark, and he's also a family man. Without any further ado, because I know you all want to know, what does this mean if people are moving money around? Who cares what the hedge funds, family offices are doing, billionaires, millionaires, bankers, right? Wealth managers. Well, we should care because whenever they move money, they know that there's a plot somewhere behind the scenes and they're positioning themselves. Well, you have the opportunity today to also position yourself. You don't have to be rich to position yourself. All you have to do is be aware so that you can be proactive. Because what if they're planning a global shutdown? What if they're planning something happening in America? Because we did hear the other day that somebody reported that Iran said that they were going to strike America on American soil. We can't have that. This is the 25th anniversary of what happened on 119. Now I'm saying 119. We're talking in codes. Turn that around backwards. So something happened September, right? You remember that a few years ago? This is the 25th anniversary of that. Surely they're not planning something like that. But it's also the 250th anniversary of America, or the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So they're not beyond doing something or trying something. Rest assured that Donald Trump is ready for whatever they try, and the National Guard is on the grounds. However, we are here today to discuss what is going on behind the scenes. Why are people moving money? Meanwhile, silver and gold is down. It's like they're trying to tell a story. Family, today on Tuesday, I had to ask myself, is this Tuesday, July the 13th, 2026? We have brought Economist Dex Lattimore here to share what's going on. Allow me to introduce to some and to present to others the economist of the Soul Tribe, Dex Lattimore. Welcome, Mr. Lattimore.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm perfect. I'm wondering what's going on. I can tell something's happening. You can feel it in the air. So that's what we're doing here today. How are you doing with whatever's going on in the world?
I'm doing well. I've been just trying to keep up with all that's going on. There's so much going on right now, so many moving parts, and just trying to maintain awareness.
Yeah, because as an economist, you have to stay abreast of what's going on as you report the news and plan for the future.
Absolutely.
Mr. Lattimore, when you see people moving large sums of money, what they call tranches of money, should you pay attention or should you say that's billionaire talk?
You should definitely pay attention to it, especially if you are invested, like in the stock market, for example, or if you're invested in Bitcoin. If you have investments, you want to know what's going on in the money arena, because it very much can affect what's going on in your financial portfolio.
Okay. So
So
go ahead.
when you look right now, you're talking about whales moving money. There's a rotation occurring. So in the stock market, you have hedge funds and different investment groups that invest in certain markets when they know that they're moving upward. When they are informed that there are going to be downturns, for example, they move their money, right?
Okay.
So right now, what's going on is a lot of money is being moved from one sector of the market into other areas.
So it almost feels like they know something is about to happen.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know if I was just feeling that way or if that there's some reasoning behind that. My feeling, my gut instinct.
Well, when you talk about the AI trade, for example, a lot of companies know that the AI trend is slowing down. And what they do generally, they'll move their money, they'll rotate it from one sector to another. right? So when they know that the stock market is having volatility, oftentimes they'll move it into safer areas. So
Mm,
they'll move the money into things like bonds,
okay.
and they'll move their money into insurance, something that they know is going to be safe even when the stock market is moving downward.
Okay.
So we have a lot of that going on. They also move their money into different consumer defense products, right? These are products that, whether the stock market is doing well or not, there are certain things that, or even if the economy is not doing well, there are still things that consumers have to buy,
Okay.
right? They're staple goods that we buy no matter what, right? Cleaning supplies, toothpaste,
Mm,
different products. So they move their money into these safer products and these safer sectors so that they can continue to watch their portfolio increase. Because companies like hedge funds and different investment companies, they hold money not just of their own, but of other people's. So they're
mm,
basically paid to keep people's money invested. They want to make sure that, again, they're not losing money and that their customers are not losing money.
okay.
So right now, when you talk about like Nvidia, for example, you talk about Microsoft, Tesla, these are what they would call the Mag Seven, the Magnificent Seven.
Mm,
Um, there have been a few companies right now that's holding up the market, holding up the stock market. So the
okay.
S&P 500 right now is moving upward. Through the year has been moving upward, but it's because these Mag 7 companies has been pulling the entire stock market upward.
Mm,
Otherwise, you have a lot of the companies that are in the S&P 500 that have been down for this year and last year.
okay. Mm,
So when you talk about the hedge funds and these major investment companies right now, they know that the AI um, the AI momentum is slowing down,
mm,
right? Um, the things that AI has promised, that these companies have promised, they have not been able to deliver, right? Especially on the revenue side. They've been able to generate a lot of money in terms of uh, uh, being able to gain the finances to start the projects, but a
mm-hmm.
lot of these companies are not showing profitability.
Okay.
So when you think about AI, it's it's revolutionary for sure, right?
Mhm.
It's got a lot of great features, right? But finding ways to monetize it has been the problem so far for these companies.
Mm. So yeah, so I noticed that not only are they moving their money like from one area or avenue to another, but I showed you a report, and I'm not into things like XRP as much as silver and gold, but I saw that Ripple had transferred 100 million XRP that's valued at 105 million dollars, and they moved it to an anonymous wallet. That was one thing, but it wasn't just that. But I started seeing them moving or reading reports about these people moving things into anonymous assets. Why would they be moving them into anonymous wallets, anonymous assets, allegedly? What is the secret?
Well,
What's
it's hard to say exactly why they moved their money or where they moved their money to, because again, it's
okay?
anonymous.
Mhm.
But we just know that they're moving their money, and we have to pay attention to the fact that they're moving their money, right?
Mhm.
They may not tell us uh, where they move their money for a while, right?
Right.
Generally they report like quarterly
Mhm.
where they're moving their money, but again, we right now we don't know where they move their money. We just know that money is moving, and we have to be aware of it, and we have to also position ourselves in order to be able to profit on the back end of all of what's going on.
Yeah, because I remember when central banks were accumulating gold in record numbers, like around 2022, they also said they had anonymous buyers of silver and gold, but they didn't release that report until like 2026 and said that those anonymous buyers were Chinese investors. But it was 4 years later that they told us. And I thought, wow, so China was making moves secretively. And
Mhm.
people knew somebody was making moves, but they just didn't know who. I thought that was very interesting. Why do you think China would be moving or buying, accumulating wealth like that? Cold.
Well, you have the erosion of the U.S. dollar that's occurring right now.
Okay.
So with all of the money printing that has occurred, especially since the Great Recession, 2008, the
Mm,
global financial crisis,
yes.
there's been a lot of money printing, a lot of quantitative easing, as they call it. And when there's an increase in the dollar supply, that means that the value of the dollars that are already in circulation goes down.
Okay.
Right. So then when you compare it, the dollar to other goods, right, the things that we purchase, we see that the prices have gone up, right?
Mm,
Especially in the commodities like gold and silver. We're
okay.
seeing, over the last 10 years, we've been seeing a pretty much a consistent upward trend in the gold prices,
Mm,
which points to what you mentioned, the fact that central banks, right, governments of countries have been de-dollarizing and have been buying and accumulating gold in
mm,
large amounts.
mm,
So right now, today, for the first time in many decades, central banks hold the majority of their reserves in gold. I think it's like 25% gold now
okay.
and like 21% USD. So
Wow.
before it was a much higher percentage of US dollars that they were invested in or that they had in their reserves. But
Mhm.
again, people are fleeing the dollar, right? People are losing their faith in the US dollar and the US government. So they're de-dollarizing.
Okay. Okay. So where should we go into the discussion now? Because I have questions. People in the comment section, they're asking questions already, but we're going to let you just speak. Where should we go in the conversation before we get to the questions?
Well, we can look at the gold prices, right?
Okay.
So what's going on over the last year, right? When we look year to date since January, gold was up to about $5,400 an ounce.
Yeah.
Since then, it's
Amen.
gone. Yeah, I want to say right now it's around 4,000.
4,070. Exactly.
Hmm. So what has occurred, right? For all of last year, people or governments were investing in dollars, or excuse me, investing in gold.
Okay.
Um, since then, you had two major incidents, right? In January, I want to say, the U.S. government confiscated Venezuela's president. At that time, the gold prices started moving.
I'm sorry. I laughed because
Mhm.
that was wild when that happened. I had never heard of
Mhm.
anything like that, but yes.
Right.
Okay.
So the gold prices started moving from that point. It took if you remember in January, the end of January, there was like a 10% decrease in the gold price
Hmm.
in a day, but then it rebounded and it just kept going up.
It did. Yes.
Once once the war in Iran occurred or started, and I think it started February 28th. March 2nd was a Monday, and gold has been taking a hit since then.
Yes. Yes.
So the reason is because there's an oil crisis occurring right now, right? With the Strait of Hormuz being closed, a lot of countries have been having to sell their gold in order to get US dollars because you have to buy oil in dollars. right? That's
Okay.
what the petrodollar is about.
Okay.
You can't buy oil with gold. Most countries don't accept gold, for oil payments.
Okay.
So then the price of oil, the price of gold has been going down, right? Because there's been a lot of selling.
Mm. Mm.
But it's an opportunity for retail investors, right? For average people to purchase gold right now, purchase silver. Because if you thought that gold and silver were valuable when it was at $5,400,
Mm.
then this should be considered a discount, right?
Okay.
It's like a 30% haircut on the price of gold, right? Like a 50% haircut on the price of silver. Right? Silver was at I think it peaked at $129 an ounce.
Yeah, about 130. It was 130. Yes.
Yeah. So that was in January, right? But since then, it's down to like what, 58?
Exactly. Here it is right here, 58. Yes. Wow, it has even gone down since yesterday. It just keeps
Yeah.
declining. Okay.
So if you can take it to a 6 month period,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll see that the price of silver and gold have been, yes, they have been going down, but depending on the news of what is going on, what Trump reports, or what is going on with the Strait of Hormuz, whenever they would report that there was a memorandum of understanding or peace talks,
Yes.
then the price of gold would start to go up,
Mm.
and vice versa, the price of oil started to go down.
Excuse me 1 minute. Miss Sister Karen, this isn't a replay. This is a live recording for those of you that are wondering. Today is July 13th, 2026. We did mention that earlier in the podcast. Is it Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday.
Monday.
Oh, this is Monday. I apologize. This is Monday. It's hard to keep up sometimes. So this is a live broadcast. All right, Mr. Lattimore. And if you all are enjoying this so far, please support Mr. Lattimore. You can send him a cash app at $Dex Lattimore. I like to do this for all my guests, but you can also follow him on the Dex Lattimore Show on YouTube. All right, Mr. Lattimore, you were talking about how geopolitics influences the prices of gold and silver.
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, during this war, excuse me, during this war, the price of gold and silver have gone down. But if you take a full picture of what's been going on, the overall trend, when you're not just talking about this year, but when you talk about the past 5 years, 10 years, there's an upward trajectory for the gold and silver commodities, because again, countries are fleeing the dollar, right? But right now, there's just a temporary need for the dollar
Mm,
with the
okay.
gold, with the oil crisis that's been occurring.
Mm,
So then when you look at like Asia, for example, right now, Asia, a lot of the East Asian countries are heavily dependent on the oil that comes from the Strait of Hormuz.
okay. Okay.
And so they're having oil shortage problems in Japan, for example, Indonesia, the Philippines. So they are actually rationing their oil,
Mm,
right? They're also rationing food because there's a shortage of food, right? There's even in the Strait of Hormuz, they don't just transport oil, but they also transport things like fertilizer, helium, different products. And that's had a major effect on the economies of many countries around the world. If you remember, I don't know if you heard Donald Trump during the G7, he mentioned that we were about 4 weeks away from pretty much draining our reserves.
my goodness.
Yeah, so
You told me about that.
yeah, so he's been doing a lot to make sure that the the economy of America doesn't collapse,
Mm,
right? Um, anytime the stock market started going down, he would make a quote, a post talking
yeah.
about, peace talks and different things. Um,
Oh, okay. That's why he does that. So
right,
that
but
that so that would boost the markets.
yes, because the markets are pretty much people investing, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
people and companies. So when people are euphoric about the or optimistic about the outcome or of the future earnings of companies, they invest in
Hmm.
these companies. They put money into these companies.
Okay. I just pulled up the article where it said Trump says oil reserves would run out in 4 weeks without Iran deal, risking what he calls Vietnam. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, at that time, he actually said that he doesn't want to be Herbert Hoover, right? So
Okay.
the whole memorandum of understanding was created so that he could make sure that the markets don't crash,
Mm,
right? And that we don't have a Great Depression on his watch.
okay.
But unfortunately, this war is pretty much been escalating and been speeding up the whole process of what we talked about before when I was on your channel, which was the everything bubble, right?
Right. I remember that. Yes.
Everything has been pretty much mixed together. The housing market, the car market, the stock market, things have been getting too expensive, right? Everything is overpriced. And it's okay when people are investing, but the moment people stop believing that these things are profitable, they start pulling their money, right? Which is a problem for the markets, right? When you talk about like the 1929
Mm,
crash, people started to panic, right? They started panic selling their stocks, and the market ended up crashing like 90%. The stocks.
mhm.
So a lot of people, their wealth is tied to their investments, right? Which a lot of people invest in the stock market. So if your money is invested in the stock market and the stocks take a hit, then that's a direct effect on your wealth.
Right.
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 When you look at the time of the 1920s, people were taking out bank loans in order to invest in the stock market.
Mm,
Yeah, which is good when stocks are going up. But again, when stocks take a hit, if it goes down too much, then you have to pay the loans off, right? Because it's borrowed money, right?
okay.
So if you took $1,000 and invested in the stock market, if 100 of those dollars are yours and the 900 are loans, if you get a 10%, 15% haircut on the value of the stock that you invested in, not only did you lose the $100 that you invested of your own money, but you also lost the money of the banks. So then the
Mm,
banks will tell you that you need to immediately put money in, right, to recuperate from the loss. And a
okay.
lot of people ended up bankrupt. A lot of people ended up losing their houses, right? Because they were highly leveraged, right? They loaned money or borrowed money in order to invest. And so then when you can't pay that back, they seize whatever assets you have.
Mm, mm,
So you fast forward that to today, the same thing has been going on to a large degree. People have been borrowing money in order to invest in the stock market today.
okay.
And for the last 3 years, the stocks have been going up. The AI trade has been fabulous for the
Yeah.
market. But when the event happens, if it should happen, which when you study the stock market, there's always a correction, right? There's a
Mhm.
there's a pretty much a correction of about 5 to 10% every year to 3 years. Then
Okay.
you have a bear market, right, which happens about every 3 years, every 3 to 5 years. So a correction is about 5 to 10%. A bear market is about 20% of
Okay.
a decrease. Then you have a crash, right? Stock
Mhm.
market crash would be 50% or more.
Okay.
So what's going on right now? We've been having historical highs in the stock market, but they are now starting to warn that there's different signs showing that the AI trade is slowing down, and because that is slowing down, we're having questions as to whether the economy can sustain itself. Right? When we look at not the stock market, but when we look at the actual economy, jobs are being cut, right? People are
Yeah.
losing their jobs.
Yeah.
People are having to work part-time jobs, right? 2, 3 part-time jobs in order
Mhm.
to make the amount of income that they need. I saw somebody said they only have crypto.
Yes. Yes.
Crypto is another concern,
Yeah.
right? Because when you talk about crypto from its high last year, I think in around October, it was at about 120,000, and right now it's sitting close to like 65,000.
Oh, wow. So it's taking a hit, just like gold and silver.
Yes, but the
Okay.
problem with crypto is that it's hard to show the value that crypto has, aside from people believing that it was a good way to invest outside of the dollar, right? If you didn't believe in the dollar, then you people jumped into crypto because they thought that it would always go up. Um, but crypto is questionable, to say the least, because where is its intrinsic value? What value does it have aside from the fact that people are trading it, right?
Mm.
When you look at gold and silver, they have stores of value,
Okay.
right? Gold is a proven um, asset, right? It's a safe haven. It's always been a safe haven. And then silver, it has a lot of use, right? When you talk about the different uses that silver have, whether it's being used in the right, a lot of industrial uses,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
along with copper,
Mm-hmm. And
right?
those two, excuse me,
Go
those two
ahead.
were added to the United States Geological Survey's list of critical minerals, silver and copper. Yeah.
Right. So silver and copper are a part of the AI expansion, right? So when
Okay.
when you look at the AI companies right
Yes.
now, they're expanding the they're
Okay.
they're 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 expanding the use of copper in order to build out these factories, right? In order to build out the capabilities of AI, because again, AI has value in terms of it has use, right? We can use technology, but again, the problem is that we can't they don't know how much money they're going to make from the AI expansion. So it's similar to like the dot-com bubble, right? We know that the internet was has proven itself to be very useful, right? People are using we're using the internet right now. But during the dot-com bubble in the 90s, the late 90s, everybody was trying to race to be the first company into the AI, into the internet boom.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have over expansion, when you have people over investing, then when a hiccup occurs, then the stock market takes a hit and you can potentially have a crash. So this is what happened,
Ooh.
recently. Well, 25 years ago it happened, and we're seeing that play out again, where the expansion of AI is going to happen, right? We need AI, we need energy and all of these things to in order to use AI, right? AI consumes more energy than we have on the electricity grid, so they have to expand the energy grid, right? So this is the reason why copper is going up in price, right? This is the reason why they're talking about even nuclear energy, right? Because we use so much electricity with AI alone that the the uh the electricity grid cannot support the amount of energy that's being consumed already by AI.
Okay. Can I ask you a question right quick before you
Yeah.
continue? We're talking about how big money they're moving around their money because they know something is happening, right? And so some people could say, well, that's what they're doing. But what I think I hear you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this is a buying opportunity even for us everyday people, because you've mentioned silver, copper, and gold. And while gold is at 4,000, silver is at $58. Copper is only like $2 or $3 per ounce. So you're saying position yourself. Something is going on. Position yourself, and you don't have to be wealthy to do it, right? Do I hear you correctly?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When we talk about wealth, wealth is accumulated over time, over a lifetime, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
people investing in silver and gold and copper, this is not just to make a profit for today,
Mm,
right? So when you think about the overall the lifespan of a person, when you look at silver right now or gold right now, again, they're at a low, right, compared to where they were earlier in the year. So when the prices are going down, that's a buying opportunity
wow.
because we can expect that the prices are going to go back upward, right?
Yes.
So right now is a great time to buy while it's down, right? One of the investors that I follow closely, Rick Rule, he says that this is again, it's a discount, right? It's like walking into a
Mhm.
store and the favorite thing that you always purchase has a 50% discount sticker on it. It's a
Mm,
great time to accumulate more. If you were
yes.
going to buy one, you should buy two because it's half off.
Let me just say something right quick before you go on. This is a
Mhm.
person that really, really loves you, and I often see mystical energy say things to you, say, "Bring Dex Lattimore back." I really appreciate him. So this is a gift from mystical energy to you, Mr. Lattimore. He says, "I don't have Cash App, but thank you, Brother Dexter, for your insight and knowledge to help the soul tribe." Mystical energy will make sure Dex Lattimore gets those funds today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you. We always appreciate when the Soul Tribe is grateful for the information that we provide on the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. Thank you, Mystical Energy. Yeah.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate it.
Mhm.
I just am here to give the information. I appreciate all that are, able to financially be a blessing. But this is important information because we're in a time period that we haven't seen really in maybe the last 100 years,
Mm.
right? But even when you think again about the Great Depression, it was about 100 years ago, right?
Mm.
1929. We're in 2026, 3 years from the anniversary of the biggest crash in American history.
Mm.
Even when you consider the Great Recession of 2008, we never really recovered, right? So the economy has been dragging along, and the only reason why the country survived is because we had bank bailouts, right? During the 2008 financial crisis, we had a lot of banks that were set to fail, the biggest banks, right? So the government bailed out these banks and bought them time.
Mm.
But fast forward, what, 10, 15 years later, and we're sitting in another potential recession, right? And it can go from a recession to a depression, right?
Quickly, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Even when you talk about, again, looking at 2020, or when they had the shutdown, that was only 6 years ago, right?
Right.
And
Ooh, that went by
we
fast. That went by really
exactly,
quickly. Yes.
yeah, and we haven't really recovered, right?
Mm.
Jobs, once the government shut down, the world shut down, everything stopped, or most things stopped. When it reopened, there were jobs available, but since then the jobs have been decreasing substantially.
Mm. Yeah, you said something earlier that I want to just highlight. You said that President Trump does what he can to make sure a depression doesn't happen on his watch. I have a question for you, and this is a personal question. Just based on your insights, do you think that people moving money from one avenue to another is because they suspect that we're on the verge of a depression?
Absolutely,
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
That's the reason why Donald Trump said that he doesn't want to be Herbert Hoover, because he
Mhm.
knows something is going on, right? He knows that the stock market is questionable and shaky and fragile, right? And the stock market has been the only thing holding up the economy in America, because otherwise the people are already in a recession, right? We have what they've been calling a K-shaped economy,
Okay.
which means that those on the lower end, right? There's basically no middle class anymore in America.
Okay.
There's the haves and the have-nots. And the K shape is saying that those who have assets, the value of their assets have been going up, while those who do not have assets, their purchasing power has been going down, right? They're
Okay.
losing jobs, right? They're
Yeah. Yeah.
losing hours on their jobs. So they're in a recession. People at the bottom of the K shape are already in a recession. But the reason why the people in power have not acknowledged openly that we're in a recession is because the people at the top in the K, the top of the K, they have investments. Their investments have been gaining value, so they can spend money in the economy, and the economy overall not look like a recession.
But how are their investments gaining value in the middle of a recession?
Right. So it's a matter of what they're invested in.
I
Right.
see.
Again, you look at Tesla, Google, Apple, Nvidia, these
Mm,
companies have been doing very well.
mm,
And because these companies have been doing well, then those who are invested in these companies, or those who are invested in the S&P 500, right, their value of their assets, their portfolio is going up. So you can cash
okay.
out and you can spend that money into the economy.
Mm.
So because they're getting richer, then the money is able to circulate. Money is able to circulate in the economy. Now, the moment they are not getting that upward movement, right? Once the stock market takes a hit, then the value of their portfolio takes a hit, and they
Mm.
have less money to spend. So
Uh,
if the rich people have less money to spend, and the people that are in the middle and the bottom already don't have enough money to spend, then overall the economy is unhealthy.
Mm.
And so that's what we've been facing really this whole year. Has been a fight, in the political arena to keep the value of these assets up, right? Even Donald Trump, again, he mentioned that he doesn't want for the housing market to take a hit. Because the majority of people's wealth in America is tied to their house,
Yes. Yeah.
right? So if you bought a house and when you bought it 20 years ago, it cost $80,000, and that house today gained value and now is sitting at $300,000, then that's where your wealth is,
Okay.
right? That's your highest, most people's biggest asset. So if that price of that house goes from 300,000 down, then you're losing,
Yeah.
you see. So he's been again doing everything that he can to pretty much manipulate the markets or to influence the markets to not go down, but there's only so much that he can do. And this
Mm.
is the reason why the big money, they know what's going on and they move their money before it becomes public knowledge.
You
So
said
let's
there's
go back,
only. Go ahead. No, no, go ahead.
going back again to the 1920s, right? 1929, the bankers understood that the market had peaked, right? There's only so much money that exists in the system. And so you can throw money into the stock market, for example, but those in power understand that the people only have so much money. Once you've maxed out the amount of money that's available and it's all tied into the stock market, then the people in power know that the stock market is overvalued, overpriced, and that there is no more money that can be put into the stock market. So what they do, they take their money, right?
Okay.
And then, but they take their money before the downward trend occurs. But when large companies and the whales, the big investors, when they move money, it can directly influence the market, right? If they put $1 million into the stock market, you can see a upward swing immediately, oftentimes. But when they're taking millions of dollars out of the market, you'll see a percentage change, right? And it
Mm.
triggers a sell off. So again, they're moving their money now and investing it into other areas that they know or they believe will be profitable, down the road, while they know that the hot trend that everybody's been jumping on board with
Mm-hmm.
is taking a hit.
Mm.
So
Mm.
they like to move their money, allow for the average investors to lose that money, right? And then they'll buy when everything is at the bottom.
Makes sense. This information is so important that Inner World, welcome Inner World. It's good to see you. Said YouTube is playing really long commercials right now. So what Inner World says is they don't want us to hear Dex Lattimore's deep knowledge. Let's see here. They don't want us to hear you drop this knowledge. Why is it that when it comes to economic knowledge or money, finances, anything that can actually help the people, it seems like the people in power try to interrupt that?
They profit off of your ignorance.
Okay.
All right. If if you blindly follow whatever they tell you, then they can make a ton of money. But if you are informed, then you're not just going to throw your money blindly, right? Again, crypto. Everybody threw money into crypto, not really understanding the value that crypto has or the lack thereof. But
Mm.
because it was they call it a momentum trade, right? People jump into it when it's the trend,
Yeah.
right?
Ooh.
So you have a lot of trend followers invested into the stock market. So right now, this is we have passive investors, right? They don't study the market, they don't study the companies that they're bought into. They just invest because it's Tesla, right?
Yes. Yes.
They throw their money because it's SpaceX, right? But if you understand um, the company and the market, then you'll be hesitant to buy SpaceX, for example, because you're going to ask the question, where does the value come, right? How is SpaceX going to prove profitability, right? Which they have not. And so the company like SpaceX IPOs, the first 3 days, they have a good trading 3 days, and then the market's the stock price goes down. So a lot of people bought it at the high because it was a new IPO, a new company, and they've been hearing all of the news about SpaceX is about to explode and it's going to do extreme, great numbers. So you invest, but then if you invested at the peak, you can lose all your money just riding the wave down, right? So a lot of people will sell it and have to take a loss because they bought it when it was high. So again, um, companies, they profit off of people's ignorance. Looking at SpaceX, understanding the fact that when a company IPOs or goes public, companies start out private, right? Um, and then they can open it up to the public. That's how you can invest. You can buy shares on the stock exchange. When the company is private, you have private investors. So what happens when the company IPOs? IPO is the initial public offer.
Okay.
When a company IPOs or puts the company available to the open market, what a lot of the private investors do is they'll sell their shares. All right. So for example, if a company IPOs at $100 a share and the price goes up to $120 a share, they'll sell their shares so that they can make a profit. And then you often see the price go down because you have the private investors selling their portion of the company. So there's a lot of this going on. And again, people generally are unaware of what's going on in the stock market. They just buy based off of trends, based off of what the news is telling them is a hot trade.
Speaking of that, after this public show, Dex Lattimore, the economist, is going to come on into the private group and he's going to talk a little bit more in depth of what's going on behind the scenes in some of these assets and some of these investments. So we don't give financial advice per se, but we do show you the trends. We give you geopolitical news. We tell you what the big whales are doing. Just like not too long ago, we told you that there was a billionaire that says the dollar is going to hell, invest in foreign currencies. People they missed that announcement. We talked to the private group about that and we got a head start. So if you're interested in joining the private group family, you can hit join on any of my videos, including this video, or you can even go ahead and hit the link that I'm going to put in the chat here, because Dex Lattimore is going to talk about different things, different avenues of investment. He might even answer some credit questions because Dex Lattimore and I both were credit repair specialists for the company that we started some years ago. And we know about credit and we know about some avenues in which you could consider investing. We know what the big whales are doing. So if you want to know what to do, or you just want to pick his brain, as he's been doing this for many years. He has a bachelor's degree in economics. He specialized in international business. He's traveled all around the world. He's met with many prelates, ministers, prime ministers, many presidents. He's met with chiefs of different tribes in Africa. So please feel free to hit that join button and join us in our private group. And we'll be glad to answer your questions individually. You have to be a part of that private group, though. We will get to some of your questions right now. I just wanted to give you an avenue to go ahead and prepare, as we will probably be in that private group around 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, Mr. Lattimore, back to you.
Yeah. So just stating that it's important to be informed on this type of information, just because you can be losing money and not know it. Right. I mentioned passive investing in the stock market that's going on right now. Another form of passive investing is people's 401ks and their IRAs, their retirement accounts. So a lot of people, again, they don't know what they're invested in, right? So their whole portfolio, a lot of it is being passively invested through the companies that they work for.
Can I say something right quick?
Sure.
There's a family member I have. I won't mention my family member's name, but you have been saying, watch your investments, and also not just look at with your requirements, your 401ks, your 403bs, but consider other investment avenues, like buying a house, like buying silver and gold, like, doing certain things. But because the trend wasn't to do those things, some of the people in our family did not listen. By the way, Dexter Lattimore is my son, family. Some people didn't listen. And then what we saw is that when the stock market took a dive, they lost tens of thousands of dollars in the stock market. So I'll let you go from there. Like, they didn't know why that happened. And I think you might have told me that a lot of these movements or investments, when you invested in your retirement account, did you say junk stocks or something like that? Or I don't know what but you were, I'll leave it up to you because you're the economist.
We'll just say that they're invested in the S&P 500, for example.
Okay.
And if the S&P 500 goes down by 10%, then your portfolio takes that same hit. So if you have $100,000 in your retirement and the S&P goes down 10%, that's a haircut on your portfolio. And when you're ready to retire, that's the worst time that the stock market can go down. Right? Because once you retire, you're actually planning on living off of your retirement income.
Okay.
Right. So your income is limited. So if your portfolio takes a hit, and especially if it not just takes a 10% hit, but it's continuously going down, then your ability to sustain your life is going down. Right. And then you have a certain amount of money in your portfolio. If it takes a hit and you're pulling money out, then you can drain your account and end up on zero in 3 years, for example, where if that money was supposed to last you through retirement from 65 to death, you're talking about 2-3 decades, for example. If your money is right at retirement, if the money that you need diminishes, then you can't retire.
Oh, you have to keep working.
Exactly. That's what we're seeing right now. Mind you, we have to also understand the fact that the baby boomers are all at retirement age right now. So baby boomers were investing in the stock market, right, through their 401ks and their pensions and all IRAs. They are actually the biggest holders of wealth in this country.
Baby boomers. Okay.
The problem is, though, they were the biggest population boom in this country. Since then, each generation has been birthing fewer children. So now that means that there's fewer people able to invest in the stock market, fewer dollars able to go into the stock
I
market.
see. I
And
see.
simultaneously, they need to withdraw their money between now and the next 10, 20 years. They're going to be withdrawing their money from the market, not adding money.
Okay.
So again, we start to see a downward turn because these these senior citizens have to withdraw. And there's, I think it's at 73, there's a minimum distribution, a required minimum distribution, meaning that you have to withdraw a certain amount of your money from your portfolio at a certain age. So all of this is leading to the possibility and likelihood, a high likelihood of a stock market crash, because if everybody's pulling their money out at the same time, then the stock market obviously cannot grow.
For people who say, okay, I have my retirement account and I have my house, what else can I do to position myself? Let me just, as a caveat, say that one of the things you taught me is it's not just about investing, but it's also about being out of debt. What do you have to say about that? So people might say, I have a house, or maybe they don't have a house, but they have a retirement account and they don't have a lot of money to invest in the stock market. They don't have a lot of money to invest in precious metals or other investments, but they're in debt. How would you advise them?
It's good to pay off your debt, right? Again, this is not financial advice. This is for informational purposes only, as they say. But when you talk about credit cards, for example, the average APR on credit cards right now is like 25%.
That's interest
So
rates.
interest rates,
Okay.
yes. So if you are paying 25% interest rates on your debt, then it's building consistently, right? And so this is the concept of compounding, right? The reason why people invest in the stock market is because your money compounds. The interest builds your money even if you're not putting a dollar. But when you talk about the stock market versus debt, the stock market has grown annually, like the S&P 500, for a return of about 10% to 15% annually. So if you have $100 invested, then your $100 after 1 year goes from $100 to $110, $115. So that's good, right? You're gaining money.
Yeah.
But if you owe $100 and the interest rate is 25%, then you owe more than the value of your assets.
Okay.
And over time, as that continues to build, you can get to a point where you cannot pay off your loans. So it's best what financial advisors generally tell people: it's important to pay off your debts as quickly as possible, and to pay off the debts that have the highest interest rates, because compounding is working against you in that instance. They're taking more money out of your pocket. And so the quicker you can pay that off, the quicker that money is freed up and you don't have to worry about paying that debt back.
That's beautiful. Let me just say this, family. I do some self-disclosing every now and then. You all have to join a private group if you want to know a little bit about how to get out of debt and how to leverage yourself so you can both be out of debt and invest. And you can invest little by little. Okay. You don't have to invest a whole lot of money into one avenue. You can invest a little bit over time. So I talked about self-disclosure not too long ago. It might have been like 6 months ago, I talked to my son, Dex Lattimore, and I said, look, I'm really trying to move out of this neighborhood, but I'm having an issue. When I live in a good neighborhood, I just wanted to move, to a different neighborhood. And I'm like, I'm having this issue where I'm making money because I work, but I have debt and I'm struggling a little bit. And he said, Mom, but you've been investing in certain things, but not focusing on your debt. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know how to do it. I mean, I kind of felt like it was too much debt. And so my son showed me, he was like, you don't have to pay it all at once. You can pay a little bit over time. And if you pay a little bit over time, you can still invest a little in your investments, but pay over time. Pay a little bit off your debt over time. And you can also not only send letters that I've talked to you all about to the credit bureaus to have things, negative items taken off your account, but you can call collection companies and you can make agreements or arrangements to pay a lower amount and they will delete it from your credit report. When I tell you, I was so happy that he showed me these different strategies. And then he showed me how to boost my score at the same time. Within 6 months, family, I had wiped out the debt. Now the larger debt, that took me a year. But in 6 months, I wiped out the debt, saved a little money, pulled back some on the investments, and was able to move from a 2-bedroom apartment to a 4-bedroom house because of the advice Dex Lattimore, the economist, gave us. So I just want to know what do you have anything to say about that, Mr. Lattimore? Because I was so gung-ho about I need to prepare for the future. I need to invest. And you're like, you need to be out of debt.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a matter of strategy, right?
Okay.
When we're talking about building wealth, there's has to be a strategy. There has to be a plan in place, right? And any plan or strategy that you come up with, you also over time you want to review your plan, right? You want to make improvements to your plan because over time, as uh, time progresses, there's so much more that you understand, right? More experience that you gain, and there's other things that you can start to focus, on. Like, for example, what you're saying, you were investing in certain areas, but you were avoiding other areas. Right?
Absolutely avoiding.
And a lot of people avoid when we talk about debt, for example. This is
Yeah.
something that people don't really understand,
I was like, la la
and
la 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 la.
it's easier to do that.
Yes.
But when you talk about overall, there's consequences for that. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's just the fact of you have to pay that interest,
Mm-hmm.
and you're investing over here in something that's not growing as fast as your debt is accumulating.
Absolutely. Welcome, Hawaii. We see you in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Creator bless you. It's so exciting to see you. Okay. And my standard of living has increased. Son, can you just, I don't know, from your perspective, can you see that my standard of living has increased just by taking your advice?
Certainly.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'll yield. Yes.
No, that's it. You what we're talking about is for people's lives to change, right? We
Mhm.
want, when we talk about building wealth, accumulating wealth, it's so that we don't have to struggle the
Yes.
way we did in the past. But
Mm.
also, again, wealth is a lifetime of investing, so that it should come to a point where you've invested so much over time that you're taken care of, but also your posterity, the
Yes.
generations behind that come after you are
Mm.
taken care of and don't have to work at the extent
Yeah.
of what you had to work
Yes.
because you set them up. And this is
Mm.
what we need to be concerning ourselves with, is finding ways to first alleviate difficulties in our own personal lives, but we should be getting to a point over time. May not be today, may not be next year, but over time, if you're investing 5, 10, 20, 30 years of your life, then you should get to a point where you're fine. And
Mm-hmm.
you even have accumulated so much that you cannot spend everything that you have.
It's so true.
right? And therein lies the fact that the children and the grandchildren and the great grandchildren will be taken care of
Mm,
because the elders have already done things
mm,
and strategized and planned and accumulated the wealth so that their standard of living is not subservient.
right, right. Somebody said, oh, in about 10 minutes, I want to start answering some questions if you have time. Zion's Love says, I'm listening and learning, also doing both with debts and investments. Still, I'm confused on some things. Um, Join our private groups, join Zion, because you'll be able to ask specific questions and we can figure out where you are and maybe offer you some support. But what do you say to that, Mr. Lattimore, about people that's like, I'm doing all I can, but I'm still confused?
Investing it takes time and
Okay.
patience.
Okay.
Everything that we talk about is not going to be understood, or may not be understood by everyone. But the fact that you're here, that you're listening, that you're open and receptive is important. And then also, after listening, you have to do your own research,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Study the information that you have questions on because, I mean, again, technology is to the point where you can look up anything that you want, right? It's just a matter of having the desire to
Yeah.
actually gain the information. But if you're really interested in understanding it, one, do the research, but also, as you said, join the private group and we can talk specifically about what it is you have questions about.
And we are going to do a private group meeting right after this session, family. So if you're interested in joining a private group, I did put the link in the chat, and this is just a link as well. Any of my videos should say join, or maybe just on the front of my YouTube channel. I do have 2 YouTube channels, so depending on where you are, where you're listening from, just go ahead and hit that join button. I'm not certain exactly where the join button is, but it should be right at the beginning of the YouTube channel or on my YouTube. It should have a little button that says join. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get into the question and answer period?
No, that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to discuss.
Big money is moving their money. They're transferring from one avenue or one asset to another because they know something is coming down the pipeline. They know about the war. They know about the attempt on president's life. They know about all type of things that's happening. Oh, let me ask you a question about that attempt on a president's life. How does that impact people's decision as it relate to what they're going to do with their money?
Ask again.
Yes. How does the fact that President Trump heard that there was a potential threat on his life, how does that impact people's decisions about money? Would that make people say, I need to move my money around, or are they? I don't know. Or are they just watching to see what happens?
Um, every investor is different,
Okay.
and can act on information differently.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say that any investor is going to make a specific move based on anything particularly, except again that they're informed. A lot of people are holding their money,
Mm-hmm.
waiting to see where the next investment should be.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting the information and making judgment calls based off of the information, saying, for example, like you said, if the president is life is in jeopardy, then what's a safe play or what's a good play?
Mm-hmm.
What's a good strategy that I think because this happened, this is the consequence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people are just using information, right? Insider information, right?
Insider. Mm-hmm.
If you know what's going on and are well informed, then you can make well informed decisions based on that knowledge. You can know where to invest based
Mm-hmm.
on the news and the information that's being circulated.
What about this immigration issue where President Trump is like looking at birthright citizenship, deporting people? Does that impact what people do with their investments, and why, if it does, to your knowledge?
Yes, we have to understand the immigration situation. They brought a lot of immigrants because what I mentioned before, the baby boomers are they're aged, right? They're
Mhm.
already in that 65 and up club. So now they were the workers.
Right.
And when you talk about the birth rate of the United States, I think it's like at 1.8, something like that. So for every two people, right, it takes two people to make a child. But now, if two people only have one child, then when those two people are old, that one person cannot take care of both
Right.
parents
Okay.
and
Okay.
work and have children.
Mm.
So now we're having a decline in the population of the country. So they brought a lot of foreigners to be able to fill up the gap of the workers that
Mm.
are not being born for the country.
Okay.
What they've done though, they brought in so many foreigners that now they've been competing with the citizens for jobs.
Mm.
So they're currently removing a lot of foreigners because the job market is already fragile.
Mhm. 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 And so that could impact somebody's decision. I reckon in regards to how to invest or what to invest in. But like you said, every investor is different. They gather the information before they make decisions.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, with a lot of immigration issues and policies changing, what I've noticed that whole neighborhoods are vacant. Commercial real estate is now available. Businesses are leaving. What type of information would you offer that could support or help the Soul family when you look at how neighborhoods are empty, car lots are empty, commercial properties? What ought we to consider?
It's a good buying opportunity,
Okay.
right? The more people that you have, it's a economics is all about supply and demand,
Okay.
right? So the more people that you have in the economy, they're competing for the same goods.
Mm.
So when you talk about housing, for example, if just to use an easy scenario, if there are 100 houses available in a community and 100 people looking to buy houses, no problem. Everybody can be housed.
Mhm.
If you get an influx of another 50 people, for example, and now you're at 150 people competing for the same 100 houses, well, now you have price wars, price
Mm.
bidding wars, right? The house is going to go to the highest bidder. And
Mm.
then there are going to be people who are left out of the buying opportunity simply because not because they didn't have the money per se, but because there's only 100 houses. And if there's 150 people competing for 100 houses, the housing market, the price of the houses is going to go up. But then also there's going to be 50 people who don't have a house.
Right. Mm.
Now, what happens when the 150, so generally you'll have builders to come, right, to build in addition to the 100 houses that are available. But it takes time to build those houses. So the
Right.
first year they might be able to build 20 houses, for example. That still doesn't take care of the full 50 that are looking for a house.
Mhm.
Now, going again back to the scenario, 100 houses, 150 people. If the population decreases from 150 to 80, for example, now there's still 100 houses, but only 80% of those houses or 80 of those houses will be occupied. And then there's still 20 houses that are available. So what happens is the price of the houses go down because there's not a high demand for the houses. People are not bidding
Mm,
higher and higher prices, and everybody, if there's 80 people trying to get 100 houses, everybody can get a house. So when you look at it, on a personal aspect, if you are in the position where you're looking to buy a house, with there being so many people being removed from the housing, right? When you talk about the foreigners, you talk about a lot of corporations that were buying up houses as well.
yes, absolutely.
With that being removed, this gives people an opportunity to actually be able to afford to buy a house.
Mm. Not only that, but Sister Janine, who is our moderator in the chat, thank you for being here, Sister Janine. She keeps everything moving. She's been here for over 5 years. She said that there were, I think she's in South Carolina, and she noted that in South Carolina, there were builders that were building up whole neighborhoods that just left. And when she said that, people in the chat were saying, yeah, they see builders that had started constructing. They left not only the houses that they were building, they left tools right there on the property. What's going on with that?
Well, the price of building a house has been going up, and companies have to make money. All right.
Okay.
So if they're not making money, then their projects can be stopped in the middle of the building process.
I see.
So you have a lot of those situations where like the cost of the wood to build the houses or the bricks to build the houses have been going up, and it cut their profit margins. Right. And so it became unprofitable for them to continue the building.
Oh, wow.
You also have the situation where there may have been a large amount of buyers, and once the buyers dried up, the demand dries up, and so then the money dries up.
So they just vacate and just leave everything? Can you do that? I guess you can. They doing it.
It's doable.
I'm gonna do something here a little unconventional. I want to show something. So you all only know this side of my son Dex Lattimore. I want to show them that you have another side. This one, how's this one? Which video would you suggest I show? I want to show y'all.
I'm not sure. Maybe we could do Trouble in My Way.
Okay, let's see. I want to see one with you going in. You look so much like your dad. So much like your dad. Yeah. Dex Lattimore is an organist, a minister of music as well. He was a pastor of a church at one time. He's an economist. He does a whole lot of things. Dex, do you have one where I was looking for one with your church, where you working in your church in Tennessee? And I sent you a video clip of you. I was just recording. You were going in. Do you have that one?
Yeah, that video is long, and so it's like an hour long. So I don't know exactly where in the video it's good.
Okay, but I just want them to see. Them to see you like really in your element. I know I caught you off guard with that one, but he is really, really a great organist family. And one of our friends had one of my personal friends who is in this space, and he runs a silver business, had asked to see some of your work, and he was really, really impressed by your work. They saying, "Hey now, come on now." What's that other one like? That other one on your show? Because that's when I really see you smile. Talk a little bit about, the importance of raising our vibrations or listening to positive music, and then we're going to ask some questions.
You said talk a little bit about what now?
How music raises your vibrational frequencies.
Oh, well, music is vibration, right? Sound, light, all of these things are vibration, right? And when we receive music, music makes us feel a certain way. Right. So it's great to listen to music, but you have to be mindful of what type of music you listen to, because you're talking about frequencies entering your body, entering your spirit. And so you want to always be mindful of, again, the music that you're listening to and being receptive to certain energies. So for me, I love to listen to good music, positive music. It's hard to listen to a lot of the music that's coming out today because it's a lot of negativity, right? And it affects people's mental state, right? It affects people's emotional state. And oftentimes people don't even know how they're being affected by the music, but it's still affecting you regardless of if you are aware of the effect or not.
Yeah. They're saying you're so talented. Hey now, come on now. Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying he's so talented. I love his music. Oh, thank you so much. Love hugs. Somebody said, I say. So I want to get to the questions that we have here, because we have about 30 minutes, but I want to give you some time to prepare too before we go into our private group. Any words you want to say or anything you want to express before we get into the questions?
No, just for people to be encouraged and to stay informed, right? Your platform is a great platform for people to receive this information and to stay abreast as to what is going on politically and geopolitically, financially. There's so much information that you have been giving people, and I just commend you for the work that you do, and commend your audience for the support that they give you, because it's always good to have the support of a community.
And I sincerely appreciate it. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, that would be it. That as far as what I would say.
And I know that sometimes when I do videos about economics and what's going on geopolitically, you have those people that understand and that they appreciate it, and then there are some that they don't really understand a lot, and I think, or they don't necessarily have the patience to hear it all. But I think, family, if you just listen, even if you don't understand it, just listen to the information. It will go into your subconscious mind, and as you go on and start researching, they will come together. Trust me.
For me,
go ahead.
When I first started learning about economics in high school or college, it was about the most boring, dry information that I had ever heard in my life. And I said to myself, I need this information, because that's a thing. If it's boring, then who's going to involve themselves? But that leaves it to the few who are willing to put in the time to understand the information that other people don't care to understand. Those are the people who generally profit at a higher level, because they're willing to do the things that other people are not interested in. Finances is boring until you have the money. Everybody wants the money, but nobody wants to go through the steps that it takes to understand it.
Okay.
When you and I were studying economics, a lot of times you would be like, "Oh, son, I can't even stay awake to hear this information."
That's so true. I be dozing off.
But look at
I try to listen because you're my son, but I'd be bored to smithereens.
it is such dry information, but it's so pertinent. The
Yeah.
information is so necessary that you can understand. Once you start to really delve into it, you start to understand why there are fewer people who have money
Mm,
than those who do not have money. All of the things that are exciting and fun, entertaining, you're spending money to entertain,
wow. Wow. Yes.
right? So they can sell you on the excitement, but when you're
Mm,
talking about investments, you're talking about geopolitics and how that relates to the economic side of things, you lose interest quick,
quickly.
fast, quickly. So again, for me, this is the reason why I jumped into this is because it's like, okay, if this is information that nobody understands, then I know why such few people have the knowledge and the wealth. We're
Mm,
talking about wealth building, right? And then again, we're talking about a lifetime of investing. This is not something that you should expect to get a quick return on your dollar.
right.
This is something that you should be building over time. So then if you don't understand it today, then it's okay because you have a lifetime to gain the information, to gain the knowledge. And
Mm,
as time goes on, as long as you're putting yourself in front of this information, over time you'll start to understand it.
you will.
And there are things that in this realm that I don't understand. There are things that the top professionals don't understand, but they gain the understanding. They seek the knowledge, and over time it starts to become more understandable to you.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah, and sometimes you just do things little by little. I remember when I first got into silver, I just bought one coin, just one coin, and that one coin, having it and feeling it on my face, and I put it on my chest, it awakened something in me. It quickened me. In fact, it brought back knowledge and information from when my great grandfather had silver and gold, which, by the way, I put in my book that's coming out soon. And just having that 1 ounce, it quickened me, it awakened something in me. And I just started buying 1 ounce per month,
Mhm.
and let me tell you, just when you start something, even if you don't understand it completely, it's like the universe opens up your mind to a world of opportunities. So I just want to inspire the Soul Tribe to take in the information as you can, store it into your mind, and then do some research on your own, and it will all make sense for you. Yeah. And then finally, I want to ask, what was it like for you when you were in? You talked about when you were studying business and economics. I would fall asleep. I remember sometimes you were like, "Mom, I'm done." You at one period of your life, you was like, "I'm just exhausted," because we were taking care of Dad, and you were doing a lot. You and your brothers and your sister were doing most of the work. I was just assisting, but it got to a point where you're like, school is like it's kind of stressful because you were also financing the family and working, studying, and you was like, "I just need to take a break," and I would say, "No, just keep. Let's just keep going." So I would read information to you. I remember that out of the economy
Mhm.
books. And I'd be like, I don't understand a thing they're saying. And you said, just keep reading. Why would you have me to keep reading even though I didn't understand? Like, what was that doing for you? Because I was reading you your books from your
Right.
classes. What was going on at that time?
And so for me at the time, it was just exhaustion, right?
Mm,
You get to a point in life in general, you're doing a lot, you get exhausted.
yeah.
But because I wanted to finish and you wanted me to finish, I said, well, if you can read me this information right now, I don't have the mental fortitude to actually sit and read it, but I can hear it, I can listen to it.
Mm,
And
mm,
what it did two things. It did something for me, but also something for you,
you really
right?
did.
For
Hmm.
me, it gave me the ability to get that information in time to pass the class.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
For you, it opened the door of economics to where even if you didn't understand it, it was stored in your mind, in your brain.
I know. Yes.
And
Yes.
so then over time, as you started to hear other things, whether it be about silver or
Mhm.
currencies or whatever, it started to click, even uh, if unaware of the association, your mind started to put these things together. And
Mhm.
over time, you have been able to do what you're doing now, right? Informing
Absolutely.
people on this information that years ago you had no understanding about.
Hmm. Even though I took like some classes in economics in undergrad school, you were talking about when I was like 19.
Mhm.
Um, it was just information that was laying dormant in my head. I didn't understand it. But over time, things just started to make sense. And reading the information to you started making sense. And watching you and my other children make moves. You can learn a lot from your children, family. I just want to put that out there. So always be open to opportunities and learning from anybody, including the children. All right. Mr. Lattimore, somebody had a question about government bonds. I don't see the question now, but somebody asked, is it worth buying government bonds? Hi, D. Samuel. Welcome as a new member. We're so grateful that you're here. It's a happy time, and we're happy to see you. So, is it worth buying government bonds? Someone asked.
There's, first of all, you want to study anything that you invest in. You want to invest in things that you understand.
Hmm.
If you don't understand it and want to invest in it, then I would suggest investing a little bit to
Okay.
gain the experience and
Hmm.
also doing research so that you can gain the full understanding of what you're investing in.
Okay.
Also, you want to look at what other people and other institutions are investing in or not investing in certain things
Hmm.
so that you can understand why it's a good investment or not a good investment.
Okay.
Bonds, there's the bond market is vast. You know,
Hmm.
you can buy 30-year bonds, 20-year bonds, 10-year bonds, 2-year bonds, and 3-month treasury notes. So just saying invest in the bond market is very vague.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
unless you understand all of those different aspects and how interest rates affect your investment and how the yield of a bond works, then it's again, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just giving the information of the understanding what it is you're investing in. So I would not suggest openly telling people to invest in bonds or not
Hmm.
invest in bonds. But what I would say is understand the information.
Yes, you mentioned something about treasury bonds. Was it treasury bonds? A lot of countries are no longer buying United States treasury bonds. Why is that? Which I believe is debt. Why are they not buying them? Yeah.
Well, because the value of those bonds can go down.
Hmm.
And also they invested governments invested in the US treasury market because that was a safe play for the
Hmm.
since the end of World War II.
Okay.
Right. When interest rates are high, then that means that you get a return on that investment for in the bond market.
Hmm.
And then it's less volatile than the stock market. All right. So a bond, for example, if it has a 5% yield or a 5% interest rate, rather, then you know that your bond, if you have uh, $1,000 bond, you know that you'll get on a 5% interest rate, you know that you're getting $50 every payment quarter. And then at the end of that bond, you'll get that $1,000 back. So you
Okay.
know that you're not losing money and you're gaining money in the process. When the price or the when the interest rate goes down, then it becomes less profitable to hold a bond. You're going to want to put your money somewhere that gives a better yield.
Okay.
So major investors, well, for one, they'll tell you to have a diversified portfolio, right, of stocks and bonds. But when you're a government, you're going to hold bonds of other countries. You're going to hold other governments' debts up
Mm-hmm.
to a certain point. Once it stops being profitable for you to hold that, you're going to move your money somewhere else. And again, the US was the most stable country in the world and
Mm.
guaranteed that they would pay you that interest.
Okay.
So when a government goes bankrupt, that means they cannot pay their debts. Right? When a government
Yes.
becomes insolvent, that means
Insolvency.
that they're going to tell other countries who are holding their debt that they cannot pay them.
Mm-mm. Oh, so when the United States Treasury Department released a report September 2025 saying that the United States Incorporated was insolvent, they couldn't pay their debt, then everybody around the world that held the debt said, forget this. We're gonna try, we're gonna stop holding them. They literally just, I wonder what made them just simultaneously drop the United States Treasury bonds. You're making so much sense. I'm sorry, you see, can you see?
It
You see,
clicks.
it's making sense. Everything's lining up now. Okay.
Sure. So that's the thing is, um, this is the reason why even though the information is boring,
Yeah.
it's necessary, right?
Yeah.
Because it starts to make more sense how
Mm,
not just people but institutions and
mm,
governments are
mm,
spending their money, where they're
mm,
moving their money to, where they're moving their money from, what they're investing in. All of these things play a direct role in our lives, even if we don't understand it. And this is the important thing is that oftentimes the general population does not understand this information.
mhm,
So life just happens to us.
mm,
So I wanted to get to a point where life isn't just happening to me. I
mm,
could understand the information and I could respond accordingly
mm,
based off of what I see going on in
mm.
the American economy and the global economy.
So they're doing two things. They stopped trading United States Treasury bonds because the government is broke and they can't pay them back based on their investment. And they stopped trading with the dollar to some extent. All these countries around the world. What
Mhm.
should that tell us as just everyday people? If all
That
these countries are saying, I'm not playing ball with the United States Incorporated anymore.
the United States empire is on its last leg.
Mm,
Right. When the empire was expanding in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, it was a great investment, right? In 2007, the recession triggered a certain situation to where it let the major players know that America's expansion had peaked,
mm,
and it was a downhill process from there. But it was a slow grind, right? And the government did everything possible
mm,
to make sure it didn't just collapse, but at least trade it sideways or
mm.
slow grind down.
I understand. I understand. Now, everybody knows that I am invested in what this administration does. I learned so much from what's going on geopolitically, and I've been able to position myself. Cortez Jones kind of see things a little differently from the way I see it as it relates to the Trump administration. But I think it's interesting that Cortez says, I won't be surprised if a shutdown occurs and soon. He believes that President Trump has failed as a president. You know, he's run the country, you know, into the ground. And then he goes on to talk about this is ancient land, resources, and minerals belong to indigenous peoples. Everything will be returned. I want to focus on how he says, I won't be surprised if a shutdown occurs. What do you think about that? Because people are saying the same thing as Mr. Cortez. Could a
Okay, so
shutdown? Go ahead.
it's very possible, right? We could talk about if oil and gas shortages occur in this country, for example, just like that, we can have a shutdown,
Mm,
right? So this war, for example, has escalated the possibility of a oil shortage and a gas shortage,
mm,
right? And then oil and gas is used not just in cars, but they're used throughout our economy, right?
mm,
Plastic is oil, right? So a lot of the things that we have are oil-based products.
mm, mm.
If the price of oil goes to $200 a barrel, for example, right now it's at like in the 70s, I want to say.
Yes.
If the price of oil goes up too high, then it becomes unaffordable, right? It also there's again because the Strait of Hormuz is closed, there's not oil traveling throughout the global economy. So that
Mm,
becomes a supply chain shock, right? If if oil slows down or stops, then you can have gas shortages, which means that people can't go to work. So this
uh-oh.
is actually occurring in a lot of Asian countries, right?
Europe too. Europe too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Exactly. And so
Mm,
here's the thing, right? The first place that is affected with the Strait of Hormuz being shut down is Asia. The
okay.
second place is Europe and Africa. But America is not removed from the global economy. It
Mm,
might happen last here, but it's certain or it's a high possibility or a high probability that if all of these other countries, all of these other areas of the world are being affected and are having shortages and are having what is it called? They're having shorter work days, for example, in the
mm-hmm.
Philippines and other Asian countries because there's not enough gas to put in your car for everybody to go to work.
Mm,
So if that's going on right now in Asia, then it might take a few months for it to affect the American market, but
oh,
we're not isolated.
okay. Okay.
So just to say that a shutdown is very, very possible. I
Mm.
mean, consider the fact that we just had a shutdown last year in the beginning of this year, and there was no oil shocks. There were no oil crises.
We had a government
So
shutdown, right? Is that what you're referring
exactly
to?
right,
Okay.
right. So these problems can just escalate,
Mm,
especially if there's another problem added to what was already an issue. We
mm.
already have a lot of financial issues that have been largely ignored. But as they say, the chickens will come home to roost and everything will be exposed, especially when there's a shutdown or a depression or a recession.
So, but how can this affect the whole world? Like we had a shutdown in 2020, 2020. I mean, this, we know about government shutdowns. They don't have money for one, so they can't operate. Are you saying that the oil crisis could literally shut down the world?
Absolutely.
Mm,
The- We run as a global population, we run on oil.
okay.
Oil is the main energy that we use for transporting goods, for example. If the
Mm,
price of oil goes up, then the price of all goods go up because the transportation for all of those products go up.
mm, okay. Mm,
So that's the reason why there was high inflation in like what 2022, 23. It was like 9% inflation, which the norm is like 2 to 3%.
yeah.
But again, with the war in Ukraine, that created a spike in the oil prices at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when the cost of oil goes up, then the cost of transporting all goods go up.
Wow.
So when you consider how do your products get to the grocery store, they're transported from somewhere. So if those transport costs go up, the producer or the business cannot absorb all of the increase of the costs. They're going to
Okay.
pass it on to the consumers.
Mm,
And so if the prices go too high, people can't afford it, then businesses can start shutting down
mm, mm,
because they're not making profit. And business is all about profits, making a profit. If a company doesn't make a profit, then it can go out of business in a heartbeat.
mm.
And that's
Okay.
actually what we've been seeing when we've been talking about over this past year, all of these businesses cutting employees and cutting hours. That's because they're losing profitability, right?
Mm,
And or because their profit margins have decreased due to their costs increasing. Right. So when you look at, for example, a restaurant, if the restaurant has costs, right? The food,
yes.
the employees, the rent, electricity. So if their electricity bill goes up, then that means they might have to raise the cost of their food,
Oh my God. Okay.
right? If the cost of their food goes up, they might have to cut some employee hours to compensate for the loss in profits. So a company is also not just worried about profitability for themselves as a company, but for its shareholders,
Mm,
right? If you bought stock into that company, bought shares of that company, you want a return on your investment. So the company, their first priority is to their shareholders, not to the employee.
they're shareholders. Okay. Okay.
100%.
The people that own a portion of the company.
Yes.
Okay. And when you have stocks, that like those people that have invested in the stocks.
Yes,
Okay. Just making sure I understand.
for sure. So now what was going on in 2021, 22, 23? The price not just of electricity, but of oil, the price of their food when we're talking about the restaurant
Mm-hmm.
example. The price of their products and their rent are all going up simultaneously. So it cuts the profit margin down substantially. So then they have to lay off people in order to save money, right? And then that means that they're going to work the workers who remain at the job, you got to work twice as hard. You got to increase your
Mm-hmm.
productivity to compensate for the company losing whether it's employees and losing uh, their value, right? So all of this plays a direct role in the possibility of a shutdown
Mm,
or a depression or a recession, because if companies have to keep laying off people, that affects the overall economy. And in order for the economy to work in capitalism, money has to always circulate. The moment money slows down in circulation, it has a domino effect on all other sectors, all other businesses, all other industries.
so how would you encourage somebody to prepare? I mean, we because we talk about investments a lot, we talk about wealth, finances, but if you're talking about a pending shutdown, how, how would you, as an economist, tell people to prepare? I mean, a possible shutdown.
Well, this is the thing. Like, it's important to study other
Comment.
depressions,
Control plus
right?
Alt plus N.
Like the Great
Lock.
Depression that occurred in America in the
Yes.
1920s.
Control plus A.
Understand what that looks like, right?
Mm,
Also, coming together as a family and
come
as
on.
community, because when companies go bankrupt, there are few jobs available. So a lot of people who have high paying jobs, or a job period. If your job is cut, then you don't have that income. So researching what these time periods look like is going to be important, right? Finding proper investments to protect the safeguard uh, you and your assets is important, right? Looking at ownership, right? Those who are able to purchase houses, for example,
Mhm. Mhm.
is a good investment, especially when the housing bubble is bursting.
Ooh,
So during recessions and depressions, actually, it's a rare opportunity for those who have money.
okay.
This is the reason why I've said before on your show that a lot of the major investors are storing cash.
You did. I remember you saying that.
They're
Yes.
waiting for the recession or depression or shutdown because the prices can collapse and
Mm,
you can buy assets for pennies on the dollar. But the thing is, so what happens in a recession, prices go down because people are losing jobs. So people
mm,
cannot afford products. So when people cannot afford, right, the demand goes down, then the price has to go down. And you end up often with an oversupply. So now
mm.
you're just selling things just to get it off your books. Right? You're trying to sell, like if you talk about food, right? If a food product doesn't sell in a certain time, the food expires, you made no money. You have a
Right.
high supply and low demand, then you're going to sell the product at a low price to get that
Mm,
supply off your shelves.
mm.
So for those who have nothing, even though the prices are going down, you still can't afford these products at a cheaper price.
Right.
Those who have money, cash, right? This is why it's important to have some of your portfolio in cash
Okay.
because when the buying opportunities present themselves, you want to be able to participate in the purchasing of these products at discounted prices. And we have to understand that overall, when we look at the trajectory of time, things rebound, right? So a depression might occur and it might last for 10 years, maybe even 20 years. But over time, you expect that the economy will get better, right? That
Right. Right.
other
Right.
companies, profitable companies will form. And then also, even the companies that took major hits, if they didn't collapse, they could be still a strong company, just that the those who were buying and investing into these companies had to sell, for
Mm,
example, had to
mm.
sell their shares in order to buy food or pay their rent, right? But that doesn't mean that the company itself is not profitable.
Mm.
So if you're able to purchase things when they're low and you get to watch them regain its value, then you are watching your wealth grow,
Mm,
when you were able to purchase it at a low price.
mm. You mentioned something earlier, and then I maybe have one or two more questions. You said the family is critical when we were talking about I asked you how can you prepare for a shutdown. You said something about the family.
Mhm.
How is the family or family unification critical in terms of shielding yourself or protecting yourself from a shutdown?
Yeah. So when you have family, you have resources outside of the individual,
Hmm.
right? So the capitalism breeds individualism, right? So they encourage people to be individualistic. Get your own apartment, buy your own house, spend your money on you.
Mm,
What that does, it's good for the economy, it's good for businesses, for everybody to be individualistic, but it's not good for the individual per se,
mm,
because then you have to spend everything that you have or the majority of what you have just to survive.
that's so true.
When you bring the family in, then you can fall back a little. You don't have to spend 100% of your income. You don't have to work 10 hours a day. You can pull back. The money that you make can all go into a pot. If there's four people in the family that's working together, as opposed to you doing it all by yourself, then you can afford things that you may not individually weren't able to afford on your own. As a
Mm,
unit, it becomes more affordable. And this is one thing that I value about the foreigners who come here. They bring the Mexicans, for example, the Hispanics. They'll buy one house with multiple people,
yeah.
and that gives them the ability to not just buy one house, but buy 10 houses in a short time frame, because they can all put their money in a pot
Hmm.
and buy things together. And they'll say, okay, we're going to buy this one house. We got four people living in this house. And then after we pay off this house, we'll pay it off faster than 30 years. We'll
Yeah.
pay it in a year or two. And then we'll move the next family in the next house, and we'll all put our money together and buy the next house. And then by the time they're done, 5 years, 10 years later, they own the block.
Yeah. Mm, mm. So if we pull our resources together, then we will have money, and we will have some I guess necessities that would shield us against almost anything, a shutdown, a
Mhm.
depression, a recession, almost anything. But we
Anything.
go ahead, go ahead. No, I'm
Go
gonna hear
ahead.
you.
Go ahead.
But we've been propagandized and told that we don't need other people. We live in an individualistic society,
Mhm.
and I yield.
No, that's it. That's what it's about. The individualism was in order to extract the wealth from the
Mm,
individuals.
mm,
All right. When we look at our community, for example, in the 50s and before, we owned a lot as a community.
mm,
When we in the 70s, when we became individualistic, we lost a great portion of our wealth.
mm.
And of course, you did see individuals who became wealthy, right? You have what, 7 or 8 billionaires, African American billionaires,
Yeah.
but the wealth of the overall community was drained because everybody became individualistic, and most people don't survive
Mm,
financially, economically. Most people end up struggling to be able to make it in life every
mm.
day to day. Versus when we look at our community in the decades before, we were an actual community. So it didn't matter if you didn't have food on a certain day. You knew that you were going to eat,
Yeah.
because you were either going to go to your aunties or your grannies or your uncles, or to Miss Georgianne across the street. She wasn't going to let you go without food.
Absolutely. We're not.
Right? We had community gardens,
Yes.
so things just become a lot easier, right?
Mm.
What the Bible say? One can send 1,000 a flight, two can send 10,000 a flight.
Yes, sir.
Bringing people together gives you exponential results.
Mm. Absolutely. Um, I'm really appreciating this conversation because, like you said, these are my words to summarize what you said about something earlier. It's easier and more fun to be entertained. You don't really have to think as hard and kind of just laugh. But when it comes to information like this, that's critical, that can really help us build and get stronger as a family, stronger as a community. It's sometimes it's a little harder to digest. But it's so important, family. It's so critical for us to learn about the importance of family, the institution of family. And we know this, but it's important to have it reiterated in our mind. It's important to accumulate wealth for your posterity, because one day we will not be here or may not be here. Then what happens to the children and the grandchildren? So you want family, wealth, and legacy. You want to leave an impact behind. You want to leave some type of wealth or impact or I don't know, footprint on the planet. At least I do, which is why I wrote a book and I keep talking about it because I am going to publish. It is in the publisher's office right now, and I can't wait for you all to read it. And I know we got to prepare for the private group, but some people had some more questions, so let me go ahead. First of all, I want to say this is something that Pure Soul Love said. Just get a husband if you're struggling, ladies. Put all your faith in man. We have no other options. Oh, that sounds like a woman. Just get a husband. Ha! That is a retirement plan for some.
That's one of the best retirement plans that women have available to them. Is that if you have a husband, you can depend on somebody to provide for you.
And you won't
And
just have your head. No.
Men, we generally expect to work, right?
Okay.
Women like to work for a certain period of time, usually in their early years. But women generally don't expect to work for long extended periods. Whereas men, we expect that in order to survive, we're gonna have to work.
Yes, absolutely. Speaking of that, oh, hold on. Sister Sheila says, gratitude to you both, Dexter. Oh, gratitude to you, Brother Dexter. I have overstood more from you about economics than I did in the college classroom. Gratitude for sharing. Wow.
Well, thank you. That's what I try to break it down to the simplest forms, this information, because even when I was reading this information in college and studying in these books, there were just so many terminologies that were hard to understand, concepts that were hard to understand. And I told myself, I have to break it down to myself first to where I can understand it, but also be able to understand it in depth to where I could explain it to an average person who does not have this knowledge.
Thank you. I don't mean to interrupt you, but you're a musician. Chuck-a-Luck is here. Chuck-a-Luck is a well-known musician from Earth, Wind, and Fire. Oh my God, my son Dex loves your music.
Absolutely.
Talk about
I
it, son.
grew up listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire. They're one of the greatest bands of all time, right?
Yeah.
High vibration, high intellectual music. The musicianship is next level, and it's just good energy. Excellent energy. Chuck-a-Luck, love you, man.
He gives us information. Chuck, you still haven't sent me the email you've been promising me. I'm waiting. We have so much to share with you, and you have a lot to share with us. Let me tell you, my dad and my aunts and uncles would listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire when I was a kid. So that's my favorite group. And my son, I don't know how he started listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire, but sometimes when we're doing traveling excursions and we're driving around, he will play Earth, Wind, and Fire from the time we get in the car to the time we get to our destination, and he will hit replay over and over and over again. You all have kept him alert and awake as we're driving. And like you said, my son said, it just raises our vibration. I'm so happy to see you here, Chuck. So happy. Send me that email at kiapruitt@gmail.com. Don't leave, Chuck, because I want to tell you something. I want to share something with the Soul Tribe in just a minute. You guys are talking here, saying hands down, Dex, Earth, Wind, and Fire's in the house. Reverend Doctor, I think you and I are the same age or around the same age. We gets down with Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm going to share something with you all. Hold on. But before I do, if you've enjoyed this, please send a Cash App and a gift or a donation to the Economist of the Soul Tribe, none other than my son, Dex Lattimore. Send it to Cash App at $Dex Lattimore, DEXLATTIMORE. And yes, we have realized that he is in fact related to the Lattimores in the entertainment industry. Okay, we did that through some digging and some research. There are Lattimores all over America, and most of them, if not all of them, are musicians. We've come to realize. And also the Lattimores or Latin Moors in Europe were, what were they to the British crown? They were the interpreters of the law or something like that.
Translators,
Translators of the law,
among other things.
among other things. Yes. Now, we didn't get that wealth that the Lattimore and entertainers got, but we built our own, and we're building our own, and that's how we're able to share it with the Soul Tribe. To the person that said, ladies, get a man, get a husband. That's a great retirement plan. You know, of course, people are going to say, I'm not going to get married just to be protected. I'm saying it's a reason. What's love got to do with it? Got to do with it. What's love but a secondhand emotion? We don't want to only do things for love. You want to do things because it makes economic, financial, spiritual, and social sense. And because of that, I'm inviting your uncle, Dex, my brother, Timothy Pruitt, to the show. He's going to answer the question, where are the men? He'll be here Thursday, which is at about the 16th, I think it is, at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He is a husband, a father. He studied counseling. He studied finances and economics. He has beautiful children, grandchildren. He loves his wife. And let me tell you, he was over male ministry in Northern California, where he taught men how to be men, how to be structured, disciplined, financial powerhouses, and leaders of their community. And one thing my brother told me the other day, he said, yes, the Bible says women are to be subject to a man. He said, but I look at it like, you know, what they're saying is be okay being under the covering of a man. He said, but another part of the Bible that people don't want to focus on is it said, and men, love your wives as Christ loved the church. He said, just as Christ gave his life for the church, so ought the husband. My brother said, when you as a man stand up 10 toes down and you cover your wife and you protect her, give her all the things she needs, give her a soft light, and you provide the shelter and the structure into which she can rest, then a woman will willingly follow your lead. If you want to learn more about that, ladies, and hear about how there are valuable men like my son, Dex Lattimore, like my eldest son, Doug Lattimore, like my son, David Lattimore, like my brother, Timothy Pruitt, like my dad, David Pruitt, my great-grandfather and grandfather, I have a legacy of good men, but they're abound in your community and in your neighborhood and in the world. Sometimes we just don't know how to find them or align ourselves where we can see them. Timothy Pruitt was a deacon, a minister, a counselor, a friend, a mentor, over thousands, tens of thousands. He'll be on the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show to answer where are the men and why men are critical to families and wealth. So I just wanted to share that to let you know, Dex. I don't know if you knew he was coming on the show Thursday.
That's great.
Yeah. He's a great man, is he not?
100%. He's one of the great men's that we have in our family. Yes. And it's wonderful that you're going to be bringing him onto your show so that you can expose him to your audience and show, as you have mentioned, that there are great men out here. Mm-hmm. And when we actually are honest with ourselves, we'll find that there are a lot more great men than we're given credit for.
Yeah.
And we have to keep in mind that there are good people, and we have to also do some self-reflection to see if you don't see great men around you, then you have to ask yourself the question of, what type of energy are you putting out? Right? Because you draw what you put out. Right. And if you're giving the right type of energy, then the energy will be reciprocated back to you.
Just like they say, when a student is ready, the teacher will appear. When we as ladies are ready, the men will appear. Literally, I'm telling you, sometimes it's about doing a paradigm shift and just knowing that they're available and knowing that they are healthy, and then positioning ourselves. As a matter of fact, I wrote a book that I don't even talk about called Become the Person You Wish to Attract. It's on Amazon. And basically, stay with us, Chuck a Luck. I got to show you something from Dex. Basically, the premise of the book is whatever you desire in a man, in a person, in a business, in anything, you have to first be that. Be the change that you desire to see. Final thoughts on that before I show the Soul Family something, Dex?
No, that's it.
Be the change that you want to see. So I'm going to show you my book. And I wrote this book like 2009, 2000. I think I wrote 2009. Then I did it again 2011. And I'm going to revisit the book because, I'm much older now. I'm much wiser. I have a doctorate now. I have more experiences. Become the person you wish to. I'm going to show you the book. So I need to revisit this book and, add some more things to it. So I wasn't really a polished writer at that time, but people that read the book said that they appreciate it. It's called Become the Person You Wish to Attract. It is on Amazon for sale. Let me see how much it is right now. Here it is. My daughter did the design to show the yin and yang here. I don't know if you can see that. My daughter is an artist, just like all my children are, son. So yeah, by Dr. Kia Pruitt. The premise of the book, Become the Person You Wish to Attract, is that we attract and allow into our lives people who mirror ourselves. If we have healthy companions, it's because we ourselves are healthy and feel good about who we are as individuals. Conversely, if we have negative or unhealthy companions, it is likely because this is how we view ourselves and this is the energy that we send out into the universe. Simply put, we get what we put out. Our mate is our reflection. This book encourages both men and women to take a deep look inside themselves and work through any issues that may be blocking them from successfully finding compatible mates. This book also inspires readers to reinforce positive and healthy behaviors that contribute to their holistic well-being so they are poised to attract the soulmate that's appropriate to them. The author shares some of her own entertaining and sometimes very difficult stories and expresses how she discovered these secrets to attracting one's reflection. Become the person you wish to attract. Fam, go ahead. Were you going to say something, Dex?
No.
Family, if you've enjoyed this show, then please send Dex Lattimore a Cash App gift, and he will greatly appreciate it. $ Dex Lattimore, $ DEXLATTIOMRE. You can also find.
You misspelled it. LATTIMORE.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was excited because I can't wait to show. Oh, where is it? You know what? I found that clip of you. Gosh, it looks like I lost it. I found a clip of you playing music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure what clip you're referring to, but if you can find it again, that'd be great. Yeah, I've played music all my life, right? I come from a musical family. My father taught all of his children how to play instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He told us that we had two instruments that we could choose, right? One instrument you choose that you love, and then the second instrument has to be the piano.
Yes.
So I originally started on the lead guitar. But I also had to learn the piano, and because Dad told us that the piano pays the most, right? So as I was aging and gaining experience in the music profession, I ended up transitioning to the piano being my primary instrument because the pay is higher. And also he explained that in order to understand music, the theory, the concepts, it's better to learn the piano for the theory aspect. So I learned piano and I was able to gain more information about the full concepts of music and the theories of music.
That's beautiful. Listen to this. Charlie is as Chuck-a-Luck from Earth, Wind, and Fire said, "Gotcha. I'm here. Want to meet Dexter so we can do some music together."
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So let me get this off here. If you guys want to contribute to his work or just show him some love, please send Dex Lattimore a Cash App at $ Dex Lattimore, just like his name is spelled. And I'm going to show this. I found this, son.
Okay, cool.
And we're going to end with this family. And then I will ask you all to go over to the private group. We're going to do a meeting there where Dex would just give some insight into what's going on behind the scenes. You can ask him questions as it relates to investments and or credit, your credit score, anything like that. So do you want to set this up? Do you remember when this was?
I think this was when you came to visit me.
Yes.
And you came to one of the churches that I worked at.
Yes. Yes. And I was so impressed as your mom. I was like, I got to capture this. Your dad would be proud. Hold on. Here you go. See if I can.
What David said last week, God did it. God did it. God woke you up this morning. God made your car show up for God.
Whenever I see you playing on that organ, I just see the joy in your soul. It just emanates from your being. You smiling right now.
GPS signal lost.
There's something about music. Music is transformational.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, high vibrations, high energy, and being able to be a musician is just a great experience.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to impact people in a positive manner has always been a joy of mine.
Yeah, yeah. Chuckaluck says, Dr. Kia, I need Dexter's email to send him and you both to be on my new podcast show coming up. It's my great pleasure to do that.
Absolutely.
You can email him at dexlattimore@gmail.com. You can email me at kiapruitt@gmail.com, Chuck. It's so good to see you and to be here with you. The piano is a harp laid on its side with 88 keys, Dana says.
Yes.
Yes. So, man, Final thoughts, Dex. That's a great way to end the show. High vibrational music. Final thoughts before we leave and go over to the private group.
Absolutely. Again, just to reiterate the fact, uh, for people to stay encouraged, right? No matter what's going on in the world, there's a lot of negative news, a lot of things that are occurring that can be looked at as bad or signs of bad things, and what's coming could be worse in your mind. However, even if things are bad, there are ways to position yourself and to protect yourself from all of the things that are going on in the society. I
Yes.
would encourage everybody to use family, right, to connect and to be a support base for each other. Right? A lot of times in our families we have issues, and a lot of times we feel like we can't resolve our issues, but everything can be resolved. And when you look at the greater good and you look at all of the possibilities that you can, if you use your family, you all can grow together versus doing things alone, right? Life on your own alone is that much more difficult. And when you use the mindset of togetherness and community, we are able to rise and succeed at a higher pace.
You used to say that, what did you used to say about families, communities, and society? That I say it now all the time.
What is it that I said?
About family, communities, and society. Before we say that, Chuckaluck says, I love Dexter's spirit and his knowledge on economics. I see myself in chief of the Northern Hemisphere. As chief, oh, I see myself. He sees himself in you as chief of the Northern Hemisphere. Chuckaluck, he plays for or played for, he's a legend who played, I think it's a guitar, I think it is,
Bass,
for, was it bass?
bass guitar
Bass
for
guitar.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes, yes. So there's something you taught me about what families, community, and society. You remember what you used to say?
I'm not exactly sure what it is. I want to hear you say it.
Society is comprised of many
Families.
communities, and
Okay,
communities are
right.
comprised of many
Uh,
families. Something to that extent.
uh-huh.
Yes.
Right. And that the community, the weakest link of a community is only as strong as its weakest link. A nation is only as strong as its weakest link. A family is only as strong as its weakest link. Right. So when we think that we can avoid the ones in our family that aren't doing well, we have to understand that they are still a part of the family. Right.
Oh, okay.
And they have an impact. So it's better to bring them up so that the family overall can rise, because the weak link always pulls you down. Right. Going to the
Right.
American economy, the American society. Right. We talked about the K-shaped economy. Those who are doing well, they're doing well and they're carrying the economy, but we still have the weak links, those who are at the bottom, and it's dragging the society down overall.
Wow.
In
Wow.
America, because we have an individualistic society, we think that we can escape the overall community. As long as I'm doing well, then I'm fine, no matter what is going on. But that's not reality. That's a false reality, because in fact, we're all in this together. And a lot of people found out the hard way during the Great Depression, right? During the dot-com bubble, during the housing crisis, that you can't just ignore those at the bottom and think that it's not going to catch up.
Right.
It's better to have a fully functioning society, a fully functioning, actualized family and community, so that those who are struggling are taken care of, to make sure that the entirety of the community is well off.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We are strong proponents of family. We're strong proponents of men and women working together to help their children, because it took two to make the child, and it really takes two to support a child, and takes more than two. It takes a whole community, a whole village to raise a family. Having said that, family, anything you were going to say? We're
No,
so
ma'am.
happy. Okay, thank you, Dexter. I appreciate all your wisdom and knowledge. I'm so grateful you chose your dad and me to come through and to be able to be here to raise the vibrations of the family and the planet. You are a blessing to me and a blessing to your dad and a blessing to the community. Or should I say a blessing? Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're
No,
welcome.
both
And so, go ahead.
naturally and on the channel.
You're welcome. I used to say when you all were children, God bless the fruit of my womb. When I would get up and testify, I
Mhm.
rise and give honor to God, to my husband and family, to the pastor, assistant pastor, associate pastors, to the pulpit dignitaries. I just want to say, God bless the fruit of my womb. And then they would start playing the organ. Dun, dun. I said, God bless the fruit of my womb. I'd be going in, wouldn't I?
Yes, you did.
I love all my babies. Let me tell you, all 8 I am grateful for. And even the ones that did not come through my blood, I'm very grateful for. As his dad and I were foster parents from the time we were like, I married at 18, dad was 20. We were high school sweethearts. And then at 19, I was pregnant with your oldest brother, Douglas. And there was a family in the community that needed help. And we took in 3 children. As you grew up, I don't know if you remember them.
I
Those 3
do.
boys. You do?
I do.
You do? Yep.
Mhm.
And we never stopped fostering. We just kept on doing it, even went through economic hardships because we understood the value of community. Family, Dex Lattimore and I are now about to go to the private group. If you're interested, I hope y'all can see that. We're going to talk about making money moves. You know, I told my grandchildren today, Dex, I was telling your niece and nephew, I said, you know, there's a singer that says, I don't cook, I don't clean, I make money moves. I said, her name's Cardi B. I said, that just came to my mind. They said, well, Granny, you cook and you clean and you make money moves. How about that? I
Right.
said, okay. They are so brilliant. Join a private group, family. I'm going to put that in the link, or you can put I'm going to put the link in the chat for you, but you can hit that link, or you can just hit a join button on any of my videos, or even on this video, because we're going to talk about family wealth legacy. He's just going to talk about certain investments that the big money is making. If you have questions about certain things, we say we don't give financial advice, but we do provide education based on what we've researched. Dexter and I also own a credit repair company. So if you have questions about credit, how to pay off debt, how to get out of debt, how to increase your credit score, because even though you have negative items on your credit report, you can still increase your credit score if you know what to do. And we're going to talk about those money moves. Okay. So here is what it looks like. Go to Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. Let me drop that in the chat. And on your way out, hit that like button, family. I need everybody to send Dex Lattimore $20. $20, okay? 20, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Whatever God puts on your heart, please send him a donation. And that's it, family. That's it. Is that it for you, Mr. Lattimore?
That's all, folks.
Somebody said they need your email. Oh, that's Chuckle Up. He needs your email.
Dex Lattimore, DEXLATTIMORE @gmail.com.
Dex Lattimore @gmail.com. Thank you for being here, Chuckle Up. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here, Sister Janine, our moderator. We appreciate you for being here 5 years, making sure the conversation moves smoothly and making sure everybody's respectful in the chat. Thank each and every one of you, wherever you're hailing from. Listen, I love you with all my heart, mind, and soul. This is why I do this. You give me relevance. I need you. I need you to survive, because without you, how would I fulfill my purpose of raising the vibrations? You help raise my vibrations, and I can reciprocate that. So thank you so much, Soul Tribe. I love you with all my heart, mind, and soul. And I am excited about Dex Lattimore coming into the private group next to give us more information on wealth, investments, credit, business opportunities, maybe if you have entrepreneurial questions, life insurance, etc., etc. The man is a wealth of knowledge. I will see you on the other side. Bye-bye, Soul Tribe. Go out and make this a great day. You want to say bye to the family, Mr. Lattimore?
Bye, everybody. Thanks for having me.
We love you, family. We'll see you soon. All right, Dex. I'll see you in a minute. All right.
Through her channel, knowledge flows, breaking chains.